Before me is what I call a graveyard bag of Lego pieces. These are pieces that have broken apart or are essentially unusable for my collection. It's not the only bag that I have, and if you've been collecting Lego for any amount of time, you probably have something similar, or you've probably just thrown those pieces away. Now, one of the questions that I get a lot, or one of the comments that I see frequently on this channel as well as discussions, stems from Lego quality. In fact, one of the most common comments I see is that Lego keeps increasing prices and decreasing quality. So I want to talk about that today. Is this something we're seeing, and how can we view Lego quality? Let's dive in. All right, so some of this comes from a lot of comments I received in a video we did recently about Lego being overpriced. And a lot of people disagreed with what I said there. I'm gonna be working on a response to that writ large over the next couple of days or next week. But one of the comments I saw quite a bit was that, hey, look, Lego keeps charging more and the quality keeps going down, 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 down. And if you go online, it's not hard to see other comments on Reddit or on Eurobricks or other Lego forums that do the same thing. And it's kind of interesting to me because I have had some problems with Lego quality control, and many times I thought I was the only one. And as you start doing a little bit of research, you find out that this is a little bit of a problem that has spanned Lego for a long time. So let's go into some detail and think about how we see Lego and quality put together. Now, there are 4 different things I'm going to talk about in this video. The first one is more broad scale, while the other 3 are increasing categories of problems with Lego quality control. So move on to the first one. The first one is basically, does Lego provide a good product? And if you have been paying attention to Lego at all, you know that it is the biggest toy company in the world, something they could not say 5 to 10 years ago, and certainly something they couldn't say when I was a kid back in the 80s and 90s collecting Lego sets across a variety of themes. And when you look at the amount of Lego that is being sold, when you look at some of the Toys of the Year awards that it's won, you even take a look at their overall profits, revenues, it is massive. And so I don't think there's much of an argument to be made that Lego as a company is suffering from low quality in terms of product. There are fantastic products out there. My wish list is longer than the actual list of sets that I'm going to buy, as I'm sure it's the case with you. And we just never kind of have enough to get everything that we want, which is perfectly fine. So I don't think there's an issue there, but I do think there are some issues in other areas. Let's start talking about those. So the first level that I'm going to talk about in terms of my increasing categorization is going to deal with the basic mistakes that every company is going to make. And these are mistakes I don't really blame Lego for, because they're easily fixable, and Lego, I think, has a pretty good reputation of doing that. And that is when you get pieces that are broken in a brand new set. If you get pieces that are maybe ruined, or you are missing pieces in a set, the fix for that is pretty simple, right? You go online, you fill out a form for missing pieces, and they send them in 5 to 7 business days. You can call their customer service and complain about something that broke really early on, and anything else that happened with your pieces or minifigs. And I think back to the days in the 1980s when, we would step on those old motorcycles and they would break, and my mom would call customer service and they'd send new ones, even if it wasn't a brand new set. And not that my mom's taking advantage of it, but it's kind of annoying when you spend a lot of money on a premium product and it breaks. And going back to the 80s, the 90s, and even to today, it's common that Lego will make a mistake in that area and fix it pretty quickly. Now, as we move to the second category here, I want to note, what is that line of demarcation? How do we go from a basic problem that every company deals with and can fix with good customer service to another level where it starts affecting your interaction with the product? And for me, is it a problem to build a new set? Is it a problem putting together old sets? Is it where I can't build mocks because certain pieces like the ones in this bag have just broken or are so terrible that you can't build with them. And I think what level that we're at here, the intermediate, is something that LEGO has fixed or can fix and has fixed on a reasonable time frame, and it's not a huge impediment to my interaction with my hobby. A good example of this, I think, is when LEGO creates new pieces, new molds, new colors, and there's a little unevenness with how it gets rolled out. It could be with a brand new color, there's some uneven distribution of the color, such that one brick might be a little bit of a darker shade than another, but that it gets fixed quickly. Or injection points for pieces. You know, LEGO creates brand new molds, they inject the plastic into the mold, they make the pieces, and then when they remove them from the molds, there's a little dimple on the pieces that illustrate where those injection points were. Now, a good example of this, I think, is when they first came out with the 1x4x6 window panels, or the window panes that they would fit inside the window frames. And on the cafe corner, a premium 18 plus, or I guess maybe 16 plus at the time, LEGO set, your front windows have these dimples on them, and it just looks weird. And it was something people commented on when the set first came out, and eventually LEGO fixed that, but definitely you can notice injection points on other pieces as they are rolled out or as they replace old molds with new ones to make pieces. Now again, that's a bit of a problem. I don't like seeing those injection points. I don't like seeing a new batch of Technic pins with, with the friction pins becoming problematic and not holding their connection. I don't like when they come out with a brand new color and there's some unevenness with it. But I also know that LEGO has fixed some of these problems relatively quickly, although it can take a little bit of time to get all those other pieces out of the system and the new ones in. One more example of this that I can think of is about 10-15 years ago when LEGO had some really difficult coloration on their instruction manuals. It was very difficult to tell the difference between a dark gray and a black, and some other colors were very close to one another, and it was difficult to understand which pieces went where. And I would make plenty of mistakes when building my sets or even my kids' sets when they were very young, because it was hard to tell which pieces they were talking about. But again, that's something that LEGO has generally fixed pretty quickly, although I do see that problem crop up from time to time. Still, those intermediate problems, while problematic, don't quite rise to the 911 style problems that we have, I think, seen in some LEGO sets and LEGO pieces. I think when you get to the point where you can't build sets or use pieces because there's a fundamental flaw with them, when it looks like, even real or not, that LEGO is cutting corners with its quality control and making pieces in a more cheaper way, that's when we run into a huge problem. And there are some issues that LEGO has fixed in this regard and some that they haven't. Let's first talk about the positives. In this bag right here, I've got quite a bit of reddish brown and dark red pieces. And these pieces were notorious for cracking from somewhere around 2010, maybe a little bit before that, 2008, 2007, all the way to maybe 2015, 16, maybe in some sets 2017, where the ink and the dyes or whatever they were using in those colors were causing the pieces to become very brittle over time. And it's to the point now where a lot of those pieces in my collection, I don't even try to build with, because I know that it's very likely that they're going to break when you just use a brick separator and pull them apart. Like, I've got this little bookshelf I've built out of primarily reddish brown pieces from that generation, and I like it. I don't love it. It's not too bad. I don't want to take it apart because I think these pieces are going to snap once we get there. So I'm kind of worried about some of that. Another issue that LEGO worked on to fix is some of the yellowing of colors over time. Now, some of them have been fixed, others have not. More on that in just a moment. I think a great example of this were the old light gray and light gray and dark gray. You might have noticed earlier I referred to dark bluish gray, because the old original dark gray was phased out in 2004, along with the original light gray and the original brown. They were replaced by colors that didn't age as poorly by getting yellowed with UV rays and exposure to sunlight. So light gray became light gray with a little bit of bluish tinge to it, and if you hold up those pieces, you can see the difference. Same with dark gray and dark gray, red, reddish brown, and regular brown. This was a problem that eventually was fixed, but it took far too long, I think, for LEGO to get to that problem in terms of the brilliance of those pieces. And what I've noticed with the discoloration over time is that it is expanded to other colors, such as some of the lavenders, the sand greens, and some others. And that's a big problem because I want to be able to use those pieces over years of building different mocks or rebuilding sets, putting them on display, taking them apart to replace that with another set on the same display shelf. So that's a bit of a problem. Another issue that I've seen is that, LEGO has had problems with color evenness that they seem to not be able to fix. Like, there are some colors, sand green, reddish brown, that are just problematic. Yellow's a good one, sometimes has a translucent look to it, and that's still a problem to this day. Like, they don't seem to find a way to even out the color distribution from different molds or from different production facilities or places like that. And I'm not sure what the problem is. I'm not knowledgeable about what is the cause of that problem, but I can tell you it's annoying when you put together a wall of pieces and there's just variation from one brick to another. And I know that the real world has color variation, but it's not always in the same pattern that you see with LEGO bricks. And again, that's a bit of a problem. Another problem that I'm not so sure LEGO has fixed is printing on some minifigs. What I've noticed is if you have like a white minifig torso with a red printing, if they don't print that well enough, the white shows through and it shows poorly in terms of quality. And this is a problem you certainly saw with some Santa sets or some old castle sets with like a red background and white printing, and then some Star Wars minifigs as well. The problems, you can probably go through and find specific examples in addition to those I just mentioned on various forums and here on social media, but those are expensive problems because minifigs are a key driver for a lot of people to buy LEGO sets, and if they're not high quality, if the printing's not great on those, then people are going to be pretty disappointed. And there's really no way of fixing that because if LEGO sends you a new one, it's going to have the same problems. Now, what is the solution, if any? I don't really know. And I don't know if this is something that's getting worse or it's just there's always going to be a new wave of things that come on board. Let's tackle each one of these. The first one I want to talk about is what I just mentioned with, is this getting worse or are we just seeing, same things kind of happen here and there because LEGO is a company that makes a product that are going to be flaws. And to this point, I haven't seen anything reliable in terms of evidence that it's getting worse. LEGO has quality control issues. There's no doubt about that. They've improved on some of those areas. Customer service is great when you're missing a piece from a set. It's great if something breaks right after you get it. But those intermediate and more problematic areas, I'm not sure we're seeing a huge move forward in them such that they've got their problem solved. But I also can't say that it's getting worse. If reddish brown and dark red are a problem in one series of sets or series of years, and then they're fixed, but a new one crops up, it's the same problem, but it's not getting worse, at least in my opinion. Now, what are we to do about this? That's a really good question. I don't know if I have a good answer for. One simple answer is you let customer service know if you don't like the way that the quality of your pieces and sets are, if you don't like the packaging, if you don't like the color variation, you call them and you can complain. I know LEGO does sometimes send out surveys to VIPs or I guess people that are in the Insiders program or even on the receipt of your from your LEGO purchase at the LEGO store. You can give them some sort of feedback and let them know. Do they hear it? I'm not sure. Do you just stop buying LEGO sets or reduce the amount you buy? That's certainly an option. Does it send a message to LEGO? At this point, I don't think so, because they're still doing extremely well as a company. And I say this as somebody who is operating a LEGO YouTube channel where we are going to be buying LEGO periodically through the year, even if I don't always like the quality, just because I want to do reviews and I want to inform people about what's going on in LEGO and analyze it. So I don't know what the solution is. That if you've got some suggestions, how do we, hold LEGO's feet to the fire when it comes to quality control? Comment down below. If you are aware of any systematic evidence that shows that LEGO quality is getting worse beyond the Reddit forums or other chat rooms, YouTube videos, social media posts, let me know, because I'm really curious if this has been well documented by anybody. Because again, I'm open to believing that this quality control issue is getting worse. I just haven't seen a ton of evidence for it, but I have examples of problems that have existed in the past and still exist to this day. I don't think it makes it worse, certainly not better. Thanks for watching. Always remember to keep building together.